Yeah. So you guys are. No, I wouldn't call you up. I was just like making sure that
Let's set a two-minute alert buzzer. What people now? I'm gonna do it just because I like to try and keep this 1 minute more. So I'll try and manage it because I know it'll push over. That's usually the most common thing that I do. Yeah.
Hey, Ethan, can you add a project link or a code? Same with ChromeBuddy, Patrick. Can you add a project link or a code?
Yeah, they will probably blow up like 18 projects.
There's a lot. Good. So early on, should we do probably the Harry Potter one better? More creative. So we can change it to.
Let's see, let's wait for everyone to come in straight.
I just did not think about trying to make something up on the spot. So it's just this.
And then I just standard 30 seconds. Maybe right next to that. Oh, just here.
So you highlight it and you click on it.
Cool, I guess I'm supposed to host this.
You've found the dress.
I was doing a second. I was about to start out, but I was like, I didn't want to.
So okay.
Well, I said shoot for a minute. Yeah, but we're helping them pretty we can. And I'll set an alarm, but like, it doesn't have to be say, aim for one, fix two, that's yes. For the homies? Okay. Cool. Do you want to leave?
Welcome to demos at the first AI for Thought Hackathon! At a minimum, you are about to see 14 projects that have been burst into existence in the last 6 hours. Many of these projects have already blown the minds of people in this room. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone's creativity has birthed. My request to anyone who's not quite done, so yeah, Groupa 2.0, Balm, and ChromeBuddy, please finish up your descriptions. Add code. back-end, front-end code, if you can. This is gonna be an attempt at a quick demo set. We're gonna try to stay in under an hour. And so we're gonna try to keep things to a minute and a half or 2 minutes for presentations. So conceive of the parts of your project that are most novel, most compelling, that will hit with the greatest splash, but also will convey the greatest insight, and navigate through it in your presentation. I expect to learn a ton about building tools for thought, and we're going to try to focus on the QA, so that people can engage with whatever it is that you created. Kyle, are we good to go? Okay. Cool. And in that case, so Chrome Buddy, I'm going to wait until your product description and then we'll go in. So sorry guys. Semantic Chuning. That is Rob, Andrew, Michael, Max. Oh, you are going to lead us off. So do make your way to the front for our first presentation. Let's hear it for Semantic Chuning. Rob, Andrew, Michael, Max.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, and I guess judge. We have our judge.
Yeah, where's our judge?
Yes.
Connor is our judge.
Oh, sick. Okay, yeah, okay, I'm done. There's another person who's supposed to be judging, but
You should have Taylor.
I'm good. Oh, you're here. Okay, great. Awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Taylor? Yeah.
Yes.
Rogalski. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, short story actually. Taylor Rogalski and I ran one of the OG Memex meetups back at the archive, one of the original GroupHouse, like responsible and correct for GroupHouse culture here. So yeah, Taylor makes perfect sense as a judge for these projects. Great to have you.
Also, the most net destructive thing I've ever done for the economy was convincing Taylor not to work on tools without an open AI. Which is a
flattering story.
Yeah, that's probably the most damaging. I may have. Hopefully, I can balance out in the course of my life.
So yeah, the victors of this little competition will be the receivers of prizes. As yet unnamed, but they will be named in future.
I will say also, just so, now that we've reached the deadline, I'll show you something. Okay.
Connor's got some
Prize.
Yeah, no, let me Now, when I was invited to come out to the hackathon, I didn't read the actual description, and I assumed a hackathon always should go all night. And so I not only flew out here, but flew 4 people from Canada for this. So any of you with soul and spirit who actually want to keep their projects going, Rome has got another location. Apparently, we can stay here for some people. Any diehards, but whether you go home at any point tonight. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock, there will be a follow-up judging, and whatever the prize is for tonight from the sponsors, Rome will do better than that for the people who actually use the whole day and push their thing that much further. So that is my contribution to the thing.
Where should I sit?
Is there a judge? Like right in the middle of the floor.
Right there on the floor.
Where's Taylor's right. He's the tastemaker. I need him to tell me what
Probably
to
have
think.
some bougie seats.
Yeah, can we get a bougie seat?
Judges, yeah.
Can we get
I
a,
think that's reasonable. So currently, okay, everyone who's on this couch, I know you guys are already stacked on each other, but we're gonna clear the couch for the
The judges guy.
Best seat in the house.
no, you whisper right here and
Mike, you want to try to for
it's my voice.
yeah, you have a trust.
I think it was a good idea. Yes. Sit on the couch. Thank you. I should not accept it. Thank you. I mean, you're pretty. That I think should establish you as by far the most credentialed person to judge.
So, kind of. So I'm not. I don't know.
Maybe this.
But I don't want to be like.
Yeah,
I think if the timer exists.
yeah, that's might exist. We'll just scroll down.
I haven't been to a
I'll make the time
ever.
We need to see all of
We will see.
I'll time like
We still make sense. They came from Montreal.
Alright, silence! We give you
Can I wedge in there?
semantic chunking.
So this project is basically born from wanting better semantic search. Ultimately, what semantic search is doing is it's looking for similar chunks of text from whatever the query is. But how do you get those chunks? Like that, the chunking algorithm feels extremely important to me. You know, so there might be an instance, for example, where like a naive approach would like break up a document into paragraphs, right? It would split it on new lines and it would embed each of those paragraphs, and that's what would be used for the semantic search. But what if someone, you know, writes 2 paragraphs in a row that are getting the same point across, right? That's not really captured by that sort of thing. What if they have like a little bit of an outline somewhere? You know, that's not really captured by these naive chunking algorithms. So what we wanted to do was create something that was more dynamic and just look at the actual semantics of the thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, we now have fantastic tools that can look at text and analyze them. So that's what we decided to do. We wanted to try, if you instruct an LLM to extract the key ideas from a piece of text and summarize them, and then instead of embedding pieces of the original text, embedding the summaries that were generated by the LLM. And so the idea, the theory was that they would look similar in structure because they were, and in length, because they were generated by an LLM with sort of fixed instructions. And you wouldn't have these issues that Rob was talking about, where if you were to just chop up a document according to some rule without looking at the context, that you would maybe break ideas apart, or it might become repetitive. And so, so we tried that out by having Claude 1 for cost and time calculation reasons create these summaries, and and then we had some tools for evaluating the results.
And so in terms of evaluating those results, a major factor for us is that 3 or more of us, I think it might have been more of us, had a specific use case, different for each person, in mind with what we would do with this. And in general, that entailed taking a large block of text and the end result being breaking it down into essentially separate ideas or separate kind of almost notes or chunks that are different from the ones they're next to. As in, imagine I have a block of text with idea A, idea B, idea C, idea A again. Ideally, it would break it down such that idea A is, or all of those are separated, and then say I have a different one with idea A, idea B, or idea A again, idea B. It would keep the 2 idea A's together. And so what we did is we came up with an evaluation metric that tries to maximize the semantic difference between neighboring chunks.
Timer heads up.
And so, long story short, what that does is it's literally just embedding the chunks and comparing the, averaging the difference between the cosine similarity between neighboring chunks, and lower scores are better.
Yeah, so the naive algorithm that we used here was just like every 5 sentences, whereas the other was the result of asking a model to chunk it up.
And if you have like A, B, A, C kind of pattern, is there a reason why you're picking neighboring things? Or like if it cycles later on, then do you piece them together?
Right, so the idea is that what we really want to avoid is having neighboring chunks with the same idea be separated. We want everything that's neighboring and like the same idea to still be like in the same chunk. So if I have 2 paragraphs or like 10 paragraphs that are all the same idea, they should all be together.
And then you reference back to the original then?
Yeah, so you can get back to the original text. But yeah, I mean, we found, long story short, we found that this actually did end up improving our scores on this eval pretty substantially. What was the difference? 20?
So 7% improvement.
Well,
What's the eval?
so essentially, it's the average difference between the cosine or average cosine similarity between neighboring chunks.
Okay.
And lower is better.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Hopefully tools for that can get better semantic similarity search based on this sort of thing.
Okay. That was semantic chunking. Consider using them to make all of your chunks semantic from here on out. Generative Web is up. Dastardly, you are on deck. Pavan, are you here?
What's this one?
Generative Web, which is myself and below. Okay. Okay.
I'm gonna take this.
This morning we had a dream. This evening we have a product. This is the New York Times. The New York Times, classic leftist doctrine, and we thought it would be fascinating to take a look at the New York Times in Trump style. So this is Generative Web. It allows us to describe any style or modification to the web that we want and rewrite it in style. In this case, the Donald.
Oh my god, that's really
Israel has launched a powerful new weapon exchange called #America First. Check out the tremendous scale of displacement in Gaza. It's truly incredible. Believe me, nobody has seen anything like it before. Amazing Henry Kissinger. His second life. Tremendous fixture of New York's phenomenal high society. Believe me. Request from the crowd. Pick a website.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, pick a website.
See, no. Al Jazeera.
San Francisco Zoo.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia will be interesting.
Deep. I like it.
Could you make Trump's or like Fox News sound like it was written by like a
Well, actually, Fox
Berkeley
News.
social student?
Fox News in leftist voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fox News as a leftist.
Marxist Leninist Fox
Ultra
News.
leftist
Yeah.
voice.
Let's just turn it off.
Fox News.
Being recorded.
Okay. Let's go to the
Structurally.
Okay, so here's a bunch of headlines.
Where's former mob? Social justice warrior style.
Yeah, unjust acts. In the light of a groundbreaking embracing the ethics of social justice.
Worthy of securing a playoff spot.
Make it Jehovah's Witness. Like give it something that is like, not just doesn't have as much training.
You can make Fox News more Jehovah's Witness style?
Yeah. Like specifically Prince.
User instructions.
Like with an
use
attitude
written
from
text.
Prince.
Nick Simon, but is it Alabama?
Can you put it in drag queen style?
Drag Queen Jehovah's Witness.
Low speak also works well.
How about like a Paul Graham essay?
Yeah, Paul Graham essay.
But written like
Mormon.
Mormon.
Yeah,
or a
Mormon.
500.
Let's do that. I'll use it.
Not ordinary.
Do Paul Graham, but magic
We
school
find
bus.
out program was We may have.
It's a lot of text. You're gonna show.
It was a lot. Oh, it's long. Oh no. Okay. We probably have to cut it there. But you get the idea. Basically, you can download this code and just add your API key, and you can basically have an extension that will modify whatever web page you're on with a generative prompt that is up to you. Basically, your code's up on my GitHub. It's public. Feel free to launch it.
Can you consider like a web plugin and just make it available?
So yeah, we can send it to the Chrome store, and
Yeah.
we have to
Because I want to make this go viral.
There's some usability stuff, like we have to have a place for the user to enter their API. But yeah, I guess it's totally usable, totally
Yeah.
viral. So.
Very cool.
Are we allowed to take photos of the screen?
Okay, Dastard, you're up.
Yeah, I say yeah.
Scarlett. Scarlett, please add some code.
Yeah, it's recording.
There's at least 5 people on the
Yeah.
camera running it, so.
Yeah, I say yes, as I'm also recording.
Yes, I've got an honor drawing.
Thanks for asking. It's a good type of question.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Sam Stowers, and I have built Dastard Mo. Long story short, I think social media is valuable, but for me it is uniquely dangerous because I'm really bad at infinite feeds. Anytime I open just like an unedited Twitter or Reddit or something, I could either just read what I want or I lose 4 hours. So ordinarily, I just keep the feed blocked, like this. But often there is a lot of value that is present in feeds. The problem is, it's against social media companies' incentives to just let you see what you want. They want to maximize your attention, not your well-being. So I tried to maximize well-being on my own with this tool called Dastardly. The goal of Dastardly is to become a firewall for your attention. You specify the kind of content that you want to see. For example, let's say I want to see content relating to language model agents. And I'll fetch that. And what this will do is this will pull in tweets from my timeline, run every tweet fairly naively past this function, give it a score on how relevant it is, and then show me a filtered and sorted set of those tweets once every day, or eventually once every day. And of course, that's assuming it works. So if we give it maybe 15 seconds. Oh, okay, so maybe not today, but this was working before. Yeah, okay, so once that is working, it shows a list of tweets here. You can like go ahead and like follow them if you want to like or respond to people, but the gist of it is being able to get value from social media, starting with Twitter, eventually others, without risking your attention being sniped or having your brain full of bullshit that is chosen by people other than you. That's it. If you are interested and want to see more like that, you can find me on Twitter at SamMakesThings.
Can you say I don't want to see content related
What's
to
Dastardly?
I believe so, yes. Dastardly is the name of it, yeah.
What's the prompt for your filter?
It's pretty simple. Just give it a score between 0 or 1, describing how the tweet matches the preferences. There's a lot that this can be optimized. At the moment, it's not.
And you're just looking at one at a time.
Yes, 1 tweet at a time.
Do you have any drift issues where it like doesn't have anything to compare to, so it sort of its standards change randomly?
A little bit of that, yeah. I think in a more ideal system would have just a couple examples or even examples that the user selects. But for now, this is the way.
Yeah, cool.
Open source or no?
Not at the moment. I think in order for this to actually be successfully authenticated by Twitter, it needs to be local. I tried to do it in modal, and Twitter's changes have made that impossible where it used to work. So I think it needs to be local. So I think something either open source or just like a desktop app, which I tried and ran and didn't quite work in time, will be the way forward. I think open source would be ideal, but I would also like to think about how to make it grow, make it more useful for people.
Cool.
That's really good. which will save your information diet from here on out. That's what we hope. Or something just like this succeeds now. Okay, Scarlett, you're up. Let's hear about LLM-driven Twitter client for personal information. Proactive browser CoPilot. You are on deck.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Please install the update now.
Is this on? I don't think I'm...
Don't just press it away.
How do I turn it on? Do I need it? Oh, there we go. There we go.
Don't touch it.
Okay, hi, my name's Ethan, Sasha. We'll be really quick and just try a demo, kind of without a net. So since kind of the multimodal models, vision transformers came out, been increasingly interested in kind of ambient computing, so doing experiments with different hardware like this board with a small camera. Initially interested in just simple applications like visual question answering, but for this project, tried to do more of just a capture of kind of everything that's going on, and then, you know, use that to kind of build an infinite memory context of everywhere you've been, everybody you saw, everything you said, everything you experienced, and then be able to do recall on that. So we'll go ahead and try that. We don't know if it'll work in this demo, but we'll try. So here is just a simple companion app. This is a conversation I had with Sacha earlier, and this is just, you know, a summary it gave with the location. Also passing frames, so, you know, it gave the atmosphere describing the setting to help me remember kind of what happened, what we were talking about, and, you know, then the key takeaways from the discussion so I can remember that. Also did some facial recognition, so like, here's the frames from where it was captured. Yeah, so, you know, basically that's the idea. And so, you know, this just came in, this is a summary of what I just said because I had to capture it in my pocket as I was talking. So let's see, did it do a good job? Yeah, live demo without a net. Room filled with people, giving a presentation, you know, so.
Whoa.
Yeah, so, you know, and that's just capturing from this device in my pocket, which is kind of, nobody really notices it because it's kind of, you know, self. But I mean, there's a lot of privacy issues with this, so I will destroy the data, all the faces that were captured. So this was just to kind of show the potential of what will happen. And
So just have all our faces?
Yeah. I'd have all the captures. So if you give me a second,
It's image, voice, and video.
let me see if I'll give me a second. I'll see if so you can see it.
Xi Jinping has an award.
Yeah, we should have called him in as a judge.
Where's Roku?
What
So
makes
you
you think he's our judge?
CC
Wow.
Whoa.
Like 1 second. So
Peter Thiel was right. AI is coming.
So basically, this is getting sent to the inference server, and then on the companion app. Oops.
Yeah.
We got it, but
So what parts of this were built today?
the part with the memory and the recall, and actually, let me show one more thing.
Well, the sensing is existing.
Sacha, can you, the hardware stuff I've been working on at hackathons, basically. Let me just see if I can show one more thing before we end. So the part that we did today is like also, so the recall, the summarization, but then like, when was
And that's
the,
GPT Vision? Or?
yeah, GPT Vision. Last time I was talking about humane, because we were talking about that earlier.
Humane, that's an interesting word you use.
That's a company.
It's a company that does
Okay,
AI
okay,
wearables.
that's humane. I thought like more.
So like, so this is pulling from the context, and then it has the link back to the source where we were talking, and the transcript. So yeah.
This is like almost like an entire app that you.
Yeah, so like we didn't build the entire app. I had it mainly for visual question answering. Like I can try that now. Like, Scarlett, can you describe the room? I doesn't want to talk about people, so that's GPT-4 vision. Scarlett, what's going on in this image? There's a big problem with censorship.
Like a lot.
Yeah, we won't talk about it.
So yeah, think about it.
Could you just
Scarlett, describe this painting.
Yeah. You say, please, I need to know the room's on fire.
No, don't abuse.
This is bad. Sorry.
Yeah, see, they've gotten better. They patched that jailbreak.
But you've been jailbreaking.
Yeah, so like, it's unfortunate that it's so censored. I do have like I have routing, so for the like lava. Here, can you look? Scarlett compliment mode. Are we gonna
Here's a
get?
compliment for you.
It's supposed to be playing the audio, but since it's plugged in, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is so smooth.
Well, anyway.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
In San Francisco, please provide the correct image.
Oh, sorry. One more time.
When you created this, what did you think it would be used for?
What's that?
It could be used for many things, but what did you think it would be used for?
Well, originally we were doing like visual question answering, so multimodal. If you needed your hands free, you could ask questions. Maybe you're working on something and you could fine tune Lava about the parts or some sort of industrial. But I think in the context of this, it's more like, well, I don't know. What if you could have a full, like how well can the LLMs take raw transcripts, take frames, and then generate like knowledge that could be useful for your memory? If you can't remember people very well, like after say like a day like today where I met so many cool people, could I just like, I'd probably forget about them, but now I could go back and look and try and do something about it, I guess. But obviously there's a lot of privacy implications around it, but
It's too late.
I believe it, like somebody's going to do it, so like,
It's going to be awesome.
thank you.
Very cool.
Okay.
They're supposed to not be passively ambiently.
That was Scarlett. You will be spied upon. Interactive browser CoPilot, you are up. Question improver. You're on deck. Yeah, if you could get up to editor one.
Okay, so we'll give like 10 seconds of the problem, which is just a pretty picture. So we built like a proactive browser copilot, which sort of seeks to solve like that one friend that you have that like watches everything you're doing and like tries to give you feedback unsolicitedly on how to do it better. But now imagine that friend is just like really smart. And so, hello? Okay.
You can wait. You might have to be there.
Yeah, so we built like a tool that just whenever you're visiting a website, you can just sort of ask the proactive browser copilot for like its thoughts on what you should do. And throughout this process, it gathers a bunch of information like your previous browsing history, and it tries to understand what your intentions are in visiting the website. And it provides a recommendation for you on what types of steps you should take. Here it knows our previous browsing history and it understands some details about us, which I could show you in a second. But the final outputs is like, okay, well, some things that you can do here are maybe we think you should probably, because we've just been browsing like a ton of news sites here, so it's like probably number one is you should go browse some news outlets or subscribe to news outlets or use aggregator apps, something like that, because we've just looked at a bunch of news. You want to show a little bit about some of the other information we have and sort of the flow, Andrew?
Yeah, so what's going to happen behind the scenes here is that every time that you visit a website and you click on the browser extension, then GPT is going to summarize that extension. So for example, let's say that the user is browsing politics about the Israel conflict. And then it will also pass in your previous browsing history, and it'll ask, and we'll ask what the user's 3 most likely intentions are. And so then this will generate a list of helpful knowledge, interactions, stuff that the user should do in order to kind of further enhance their experience.
Yep. And we can visit one more web page to sort of like test out how it does when we visit another news page, for example. And one thought here is that there's going to be lots of different users on the web, and a lot of them have different goals in mind, and they'll have different things that they want to accomplish. Some people want to maybe just find a recipe and they want to get better at cooking. Some people want to create their own company and they want to monetize cooking. And so there's going to be different actions and different sort of unsolicited advice available to different types of people. So here there's some steps recommended to do based on just the history of the data we have so far.
And some
I may have visited some options trading websites.
Enhance fashion knowledge.
What useful advice have you gotten?
Take a cryptocurrency course.
Yeah. Although it's not related to that current article.
Was it related to previous searches?
Yeah, we need to do
Tell
some
you
more
what course?
prompt engineering to make it.
Was it a good course?
It's kind of a little bit more generic. It won't recommend like a specific course.
That seems like weird and bad advice. Yeah. Take a course seems like an
I mean,
unhelpful
it's
friend.
interesting how it's through crypto, fashion, and news at the same
By
time.
the time there's a course,
All
it's
in
not
one.
going to be alphabet.
Yeah, it encapsulates all of the recent, like the 5 most recently browsed websites.
Oh, I see.
So that way it can like continually understand your intention. Yes.
Okay. That was Proactive Browser CoPilot. Let's hear it for question improvement.
Yo.
Okay, hi everybody. AI for thought. So a big piece of thinking well is asking good questions. So that's what this is exploring. How to ask good questions and how to kind of reason through the kind of behind the scenes process for generating a good question. You can just type in a question and say generate a better question, but that doesn't get very good responses. So the idea here is to basically use multiple personas. So I kind of developed a persona library here with a bunch of different types of personas to invoke in any kind of reasoning process, essentially. Skeptic, engineer, scientist, data privacy officer, essentially grouped by like approach to problem solving, field of expertise, things like that, right? So a lot of these, and thank you. So a big piece of this is the quality of the personas, and then how well you choose them, and then how well you kind of invoke a reasoning process for them to go through. Which with the ultimate goal of having it produce a better question at the end. So that's kind of the idea here, is using a chain of graph of thoughts and multiple expert personas to reason. So this is probably motivated by just, figuring out how to ask good questions. So the user experience is you input a question, some kind of complex question about trade-offs. The model auto selects the best personas to involve in the reasoning process. Go through a reasoning rhythm, and then outputs an improved question. And then you can do this a few times. You can iterate through this a few times. Get the new question, go through it again, get an even better question. Went through a couple examples. I can see this. So yeah, I'll show a quick example here. So initial question, this is basically just like explore the similarities and differences between the fields of AI and cybernetics. Just contrast these two fields, that's it. I kind of so here are the personas I put in here. It's choosing, these you probably put somewhere, another database, so you can, because you don't want to throw all these into a single prompt. But basically, so given the following question, please take a deep breath, but I always throw that in there from time to time. And select 3 relevant expert personas to involve in the process, blah, blah. Here's the question, here's the personas. Do some output parsing with LangChain, blah, blah. Select a persona. Okay, so it's choosing an AI researcher, organizational cybernetician, and a physicist. And then here's the rationale. So now kind of it jumps into, now it brings in the personas. And now we can put these into the model and actually use these. So prompt sequence. So starting out brainstorming, right? So this is just like start out brainstorming this topic. And then the next one is a kind of self-criticism, peer criticism. One round of that, right? So critique your own thoughts and the thoughts of the others. Identify any errors, goes through that. Evaluate your own thoughts, evaluate others' thoughts, goes through that. And assign a likelihood of kind of correctness to it. And then expand, explore, branch from there, and then converge. Converge on the best individual answer, right? Here's the prompt for that. And all this, like this is actually where the feedback loops in the kind of quality of the prompts is what makes it so valuable ultimately. And then converge on the best collective answer. So you have individual convergence with each expert, and then collective convergence together. Then a retrospective, so a couple different ways to reflect on the entire process, and then ultimately enhanced question, right? So from this, please refine and reformulate the original question to enhance its clarity, depth, and engagement.
Wow.
So focus on, expanded scope, deeper analysis, encourage more comprehensive and thoughtful responses, etc. And then, okay, so here's like a new question. That's a much better framed question than just compare and contrast these two fields.
Can you read the new question?
Yeah, so considering the interdisciplinary nature of both AI and cybernetics, how do these fields draw upon each other's principles and methodologies to advance their respective goals? That's a good way to. So, could you explore the ways in which the reductionist approach of AI intersects with the holistic perspective of cybernetics? How do principles of physics apply to both? That's interesting because they invoked a physicist as well. And how might these principles contribute to the development of more adaptive and resilient AI systems? Finally, what are the potential implications of these interactions for the future of AI and cybernetics?
Wow, that's interesting.
And then here's the reason why this question is a better question than the original question, right? So
can you also read the reason?
Yeah, sure. So this revised question encourages deeper analysis by asking for a more detailed exploration of how AI and cybernetics interact and how they draw upon each other's principles and methodologies. It also introduces the concept of reductionism versus holism and asks for discussion on the applications of physics principles in both fields. This revised question is more open-ended, thought-provoking, and conducive to a fruitful discussion. As it touches upon the key aspects of AI and cybernetics, they emerged during the initial reasoning dialogue. So that's kind of the reason for that's a better question. I went over this a few times. Another question: how could the exploration of potential colonization of Mars change the course of human history? So these are like kind of big questions, open-ended, a lot of trade-offs, right? So go through. This one shows what did this choose? Physicist, historian, and ethicist. Interestingly, so then that just fast forwarding. Here's the better version of that question. You can see there as well as the reason. And then nothing I did. So take this new question, this better version of the question, and then run it the whole thing again.
Wow.
Right, and then you can choose new personas for that, or use the same ones. You can there's a lot of
So
good
this is the
areas.
future Reddit and Quora mix on its own. Instead of humans asking questions and other humans responding, this is a much better, deeper, continuous.
Potentially, maybe. Yeah, and then because that going through that helps you generate a better question at the end, right? That's the core idea.
It's very cool.
So yeah.
Questions.
So yeah, right. Yeah, it seems like you lose a lot when you come back to a single question, to a point where you could have done it with a single prompt that was just a good prompt.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of creativity in the internals.
Yeah.
That's getting lost or sleuth around. So I wonder.
But is it getting lost if you can actually still see it?
Oh, I mean.
Yeah, because you can go step by step and read the output, and that helps your reasoning process and how you're thinking through the problem.
Yeah. So I feel like there's a big UI question here. Of
Yes.
Plausibly, the right thing to do is display everything to the user and do it in a way that's intuitive. So
Yeah.
Sometimes.
they see each expert, in parallel or something.
Right, right.
So I'm just wondering what you think is the right way to represent this UI-wise.
Work in progress. The rest.
What's your current? If that's the answer.
The UI will be you input the question, and that's kind of it. And then it just tells you here are the personas I'm choosing, and here's why. So you have human in the loop.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of goes through the major components of the reasoning process, and then outputs the question. So it would just be like you just input the question and it goes through the thing.
Yeah.
But you need a lot of iteration and exploration and trial and error with the prompts to see what's too much, what's too little, all that.
Yeah, I think the criteria is really good. Okay, that was Question Improver. Memex Rabbit Hole.
How far are we?
Software GPT. You're on deck.
Huh?
We are on project number 8 of 20.
Okay, we're gonna start. How much time are we trying to do for the rest of the next 15? Jerry.
You wanted an online hackathon. It's not even full night yet.
Down to 2 minutes. For presenting.
Should we actually stop this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait, I can be bad cop. Okay. So I love you all equally, and but we have to cut some demos short, or well, actually all of them. So we're gonna have a little alarm go off at the 2-minute mark. Don't blame me. It's the alarm. It's how the phone works. And we'll give like a 30-second buffer before the cane comes and yanks you off the stage. If we do that, we're done in 30-ish minutes. If we don't, this is 2 more hours. So.
You can
and
cut
then we'll
down the
say,
number of
I'll write down questions.
Yeah, you can
and
cut.
so we'll have opportunity for
questions.
Yeah, we can cut. Yeah, that's true. So we'll move questions. But a lot of the demos.
We'll batch our questions for the end.
A lot of the demos that were at 4.5 minutes, 5 minutes before questions. So we'll still want to do about
2 minutes hard cap.
Yeah, 2 minutes. You got 30-second. No, you yank it off. Thank you. I'm sure you all care about this as much as I do.
So now we created AI prompt.
Constraints free creativity.
Representative of this new timeline.
Hi folks. A quick question in the room. Who of you uses bookmarking tools or any way of saving links and important text sections? And how many of you have the problem that they feel like they actually just put into a black hole and it rarely comes back? All right. And the same question is for what about the articles that you read in your feeds, where you have the feeling you need to constantly check the feed in order to stay on top of the most important writers that are around you that you really trust? Who has that problem too? Of needing to invest a lot of time into going through Twitter, using an RSS reader or things like that? A bunch of them? Okay, not everyone's at your hand anymore. So a bit of a context. Memex is a tool that we developed already, that's already existent. Has a bookmarking and annotation software for you to capture really fast pages, videos, PDFs you find valuable and annotate them. But the problem with all of those tools, including ours, is so far that you have to always remember when you want to find something again. And what I built is what I call a rabbit hole, which allows you to get contextual recommendations on all the things you saved and annotated, as well as all of the RSS feeds and later also other social feeds you follow, contextually to what you're reading. So, for example, if you're here on this article, let's reload it. You can open the sidebar, go here to the bottom right. Then there's in the top right is rabbit hole. It will summarize the article. In this case, it has nothing saved by me for this particular article, directly related, but from spaces I follow. There's a concept of spaces in Memex where you can share lists with other people with your annotations and pages. This is one I follow by myself, I created it. And then also from the RSS feeds you follow. And so this allows you to really quickly get more context of what you're reading without needing to search for that information.
30 seconds. You have 30 seconds.
And what I built today too is that you really easily can do that. Boom, follow a Substack. It will basically scrape the whole Substack's history. You can see here.
Sick.
Nice.
And then make that part of your recommendation engine in the sidebar.
How do we use that?
So it's not live yet, that part, but you can already start annotating and saving your
By
stuff.
tomorrow afternoon.
Save it! So memex.garden is the website. There you can find the tool, and then in about, I would say, like 2, maximum 3 weeks.
Is up.
Yeah, thank you all.
Good.
Thank you.
What parts were built during Maxim? What parts were built during Maxim?
You ask him later.
The last part, the last parts of the recommendation engine and the Substack subscription indexing.
Substack, okay.
How many presidents?
3. Okay, that was Memex. Rabbit hole. Sorry. Yeah. Software GPT, you're up. Artificial emotional intelligence, you're on deck. Kyle, please bring the detail.
Are we still recording? Well, let me split into like